Here now is Mitch Kokai, senior political analyst for the John Locke Foundation, to talk about voting across this important battleground state. Good morning to you, Mitch. Thank you for being here. When you talk about the storm damage, you say in a recent article that Hurricane Helene could alter North Carolina's political landscape. How so and for how long?
Well, it remains to be seen how long, but certainly it could have an impact on this upcoming election. And one of the reasons that's true is that the area that was hit particularly hard by Helene tends to be a very Republican area of the state. If you look at the counties that were in the federal disaster declaration area, there were 25 of them. Donald Trump won 23 of those 25 in the last presidential election. Now, the most populous county, Buncombe County, where Asheville is located, is a very blue county. So you have to weigh that into the mix as well. But most of the counties are particularly red. And if you look at the votes that Donald Trump got in that section of the state, they are far higher than the vote total that was his margin of victory over Joe Biden the last time around. So if it turns out that people can't get to the polls, or they decide that this is not important enough as they're trying to get their lives back in order, that could have an impact on what's likely to be a very close race regardless.
We're 4 weeks from the election today. What's happening in the interim to get polling locations ready, to consolidate and make sure that people do have access if they do want to vote?
That work is going on right now. Just within the past couple of days, all of the election offices in the affected counties are back open. Some have been closed for several days, but they are all back open. Assessments are being done now to make sure that early voting sites are able to be used and that election day sites are able to be used. The State Board of Elections just yesterday held a meeting at which more than a dozen of the affected counties have had special dispensations of the things that they can do to get ready for the elections. Our early voting starts very soon. And of course, you have mail-in absentee balloting that's taking place as well. So lots of things are in the mix right now to try to make sure that everyone who can cast a vote will be able to do so.
You bring up absentee voting. I've got some family in North Carolina, and they say absentee voting is not easy right now, that they need 2 witnesses, a copy of the driver's license, and they have to go to the post office in person because of postage. Are those normal parameters around absentee voting, or is that new in this cycle?
Well, certainly having the witness sign and using a special envelope, that is not something that's new. One of the new pieces of this, though, is voter ID. This is the first general election in which North Carolina's voter ID law is in effect, and it's in effect not just for in-person voting, but also for mail-in absentee balloting. You have to send in a copy of your voter ID. So this is something that's also another factor that has to be weighed into the mix. Plus, we're waiting for a federal judge to decide whether voter ID is even going to be in place. She had a trial back in May, but still hasn't issued a decision about whether voter ID is going to be used for this election. So a lot of things still up in the air here in North Carolina.
Yeah, and a lot of extra hurdles for people to try and cast their ballots. What other trends, Mitch, are you seeing when it comes to voter registration in this election compared to 2020?
Well, we are seeing that voter registration, as it has over the past couple of cycles, tending to go more toward unaffiliated voters than toward Republicans or Democrats. I think Democrats are seeing the harder hit from people deciding not to go to one of the 2 major parties. But certainly things are up for grabs for both of the major parties because more people want to go toward the unaffiliated voters. And the biggest thing that we're seeing right now on the ground here in North Carolina is the potential impact of the race that's just below the presidential race, where you have Democrat Josh Stein and Republican Mark Robinson running for governor. Mark Robinson has run into all kinds of controversy, and so Democrats are trying now to tie as many candidates as possible, including Donald Trump, to Mark Robinson, hoping that Robinson will bring those other Republican candidates down.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.